On behalf of the National Book Trust India, I welcome all of you. We are thankful for the ministers to be here to present this report. This is a unique report prepared by National Council for Applied Economic Research. Dr. Binde is representing the DG of the NCAER. This is a follow-up report. The first report we made out in 2010. This was the only report available in India talking about the statistics of reading habits in the country. It also there is a social indicator also taking well. Also the other reading habits about the newspaper and magazines also it has taken care of. And this has been widely quoted by not only Indian publishing industry but also by all other publishing industry around the world. And there was a mention about in Frankfurt Book Fair, other people are taking it as a base. So this report, the importance of this release of this report is, this is a roadmap for reading habits, spreading the reading habit to other stakeholders, not only the state government but also the various agencies working for the book promotion in India and the state government. And also the book promotion is also now done by the NGO sector also, because we have a grant in aid program. We are administering through, it's in a Ministry of HRD program, we are administering it. We are doing a 300 program. And the NBT itself, after this was an initiated way when we done, when the Golden Jubilee celebration, when we started, we wanted to do some interest. So that is the idea of that report. So the interesting features is coming out. So we have given already the brief and all. Now I request Binde sir to speak about some 1 or 2 minutes about the salient feature of the report for the knowledge of the minister and press people.
And as Mr. Sikandar said, this is the follow-up study of that. So I think I should at this stage also acknowledge Dr. Rajesh Shukla, who led the study when he was at NCAER. He's not with us now, but he has been kind enough to be with us here today. So I think the first set of questions to ask is why youth and why Northeast? Right? I mean, this follow-up study has been on the Northeast. Why youth? I guess it is the most important engine of our society, of the economy, and so on going forward. And also, as it happens, I think the percentage of population in this youth group, we have defined youth to be 13 to 35 age group. So this is one of the largest age groups in the population. So I think it's important to know what the youth is, what are their reading habits, what is their source of knowledge, and what are their interests, and so on. So I guess it is important to look at. Therefore, it was interesting to look at the patterns of youth readership in the Northeast. And then in this report, we have also compared it with Maharashtra and Bihar. To extreme on the spectrum of economic development. I will not go into the various statistics that are there in the report. As Mr. Sikandar said, there is a sort of a brief synopsis of the findings that has been distributed in the bag also. I might say that the report goes into issues beyond readership also. So, for example, I guess we ask, we have looked at the so-called media consumption patterns of the youth. Right? I mean, they not only read books, they not only read newspapers, they also look at television, they also look at internet. Obviously, the rates of penetration with respect to internet are very low, but I think the use of television for entertainment and use of books for knowledge, I think is something that's interesting pattern that comes up in the survey that we have carried out. The rural-urban sort of divide that we observe in the rest of the country, for example, is less visible in the Northeast. Right? I mean, the literate youth who read books, for example, I mean, is as much in the rural areas as it is in the urban areas. Particularly, I think when we look at states other than Assam, Assam sort of is very similar to the rest of India, although I think the rate of readership is much higher in Assam compared to the all India averages. It's actually much higher than what we observe in Maharashtra also. So I think there are these patterns that we look at. If you control for gender, if you control for the type of family, and so then what happens to the impact of each of these factors on the readership pattern. So there is an analysis that is there on those factors. And finally, I would like to only mention that there are certain things that are interesting for policy, I think. So one of the sort of general observation is that access to books in inducing people to read. So I think in terms of policy, how does the access influence readership?
I would like to thank the committee members for the wonderful work that you have done, despite I think the access problems and also the lack of any tangible data. And I believe this is the second of the reports that the committee is publishing, and I'm happy for the effort and the indulgence that you have shown. I had the opportunity to travel the Northeast extensively in my previous responsibility. And I know the challenges that are there in terms of terrain, in terms of the lack of infrastructure, in terms of accessibility. But nevertheless, there's a very vibrant culture in each of the states. And you see a lot of natural talents of music and song and other very creative abilities in the Northeastern kids. And I think I'm happy to learn that the reading habit and the literacy is a lot higher in that region, and I think with improved access and improved facility and encouraging the reading habit facilities would further enhance the development of the region and the growth of the kids in that region. I think it's been a very diligent effort, and I've just heard from Professor Hazarika that he's creating a Northeast Center for the first time in the Jamia Millia University. I think it's a great initiative, and I think the integration of the Northeast should happen faster with such initiatives. During one of my trips to Shillong, I've seen a beautiful museum that was created, I think, by the Don Bosco Church or something, which depicts the lives of the various people across all the 7 states in a very beautiful manner. And I had suggested that such a museum should exist in all the major cities, because that is where the awareness needs to grow. And I know that the Indian Army had published a book called the Northeast Trilogy, which depicts the various facets of the Northeast and the hill tribes, their customs and their heritage very, very beautifully in a 3-part series. I would urge all of you to take a look at it and probably get access to it. Anyway, I thank you for the opportunity, for giving me this opportunity to release the book. I would appreciate your good efforts, and I hope that you will continue to encourage the reading habit, because I think in today's world, where there's the distractions of technology and lifestyle, kids are diverted. I'm sure that they do a lot more reading on the internet, but I think the coziness of holding on to a book and reading at bedtime or during travel is, I think, an experience that will probably become nostalgia, because I think everybody is holding on to an iPad or a book, an electronic book. But I think we should encourage this habit. Thank you very much again for this opportunity.
So if any technical question you can ask, I can, if Binde Saab will provide, NBT thing I will answer, try to answer.
2010 में जो रिपोर्ट आई थी, केवल उन्हीं आंकड़ों का री-एनालिसिस है या कोई नया सर्वे है?
ये उन्हीं का है. I think so. The focus is on the northeastern
उस आंकड़े को आपने यूथ और ईच स्टेट के बीच में रिकंसाइल किया.
And northeast का जो states हैं, 8 states हैं, उनके ऊपर focus किया है. And then there is some additional analysis. As I said, I guess we looked at what is the probability that a literate youth will read books. उसका जो analysis किया है वो नया है. This chapter 7 talks about that. Second thing is that, as I said, why Northeast? So Northeast has certain distinct characteristics which may be somewhat different from rest of the country. And that one of the things that I mentioned was literacy rate is higher in the Northeast. And then similarly, I think the youth population is also higher in the Northeast. So it makes an interesting area to look at. So then I guess the readership percentage in the Northeast, for example, is 43%, right, among the youth. This is much higher compared to the other regions. And then Northeast also has large proportion of literate youth from rural areas. So one of the characteristics is that rural population is relatively higher in the Northeast compared to the rest of the country also. I think Assam obviously dominates in terms of population in the Northeast, right? So the patterns that we see in Assam are quite different from what happens in the rest of the Northeast. What we find is that something like 55% of literate urban youth of Assam are readers of leisure books. Right? I mean, so this is a very large proportion, even higher compared to Maharashtra. In Maharashtra, the comparable number is 39%. So, in Maharashtra, it's 39%. In Assam, it's 55%.
Let me just take 2 minutes to give you actually context by which actually it might be important. Whatever the importance of a study you...
Sir, can you take the mic?
Yes. If you see the like the context is, most important thing, two things I would like to just mention. This study was conceptualized. This is the reading habit, and you are aware, this is a culture actually. This is a culture, not exactly driven by the, you can say, the single individual factor, but it is culture, which is started from the family itself actually, going to the school. So what we have observed in the way that, like how to measure the reading habit, how one can say what is current status of reading habit. There were several questions, reading habit is declining, but there is no data. So having that thing, NBT with the actually initiated this system. Then we reviewed the 57 country experiences in this. Took 6-8 months to find out how to measure the reading and reading habit. This is the first thing, and we have interacted, and it is not only the NCIR. There are actually a set of institution experts from the set of institutions, even media people, even those who are publishers. We organize a whole, you can say, the 2 or 3 conferences before launching the study to get the input from how the publisher looks like the reading habits, what are the problems. So I am just saying this is effort of, I have just mentioned here, it is effort of where we have interviewed approximately 6.62 lakh individual across the country. Second aspect I would like to say, as it is important, the reading habit was the major focus. But the reading habit can't we try to develop, still we are trying to develop what is the reading habit model for the India. So we focus youth because in 2020, means like we are expecting that India will be the highest number, a share of the youth population in the world actually. So that let us focus, and we try to develop, you can say, the total demographics of youth for everyone to just look what youth looks like. One aspect also I would like to just mention is there is no significant difference between male and female in terms of reading habits. It is clearly come out. And also I am just throwing just like the headline is, there is no impact. People are saying that the gadgets are coming. Let me tell you, those who are having access of gadget, they are reading also more. And I clearly mention, we have taken all precautions to analyze this data, and we find there is no significant impact of the current media. It is actually sometimes encouraging the people to read more what it is giving. Another thing I would like to also mention, which is important, might be for the media point. 76% of youth are religious. They have shown we are religious. Can you just take that these are the things are the important, which is not actually the part of reading, but you see how the people, how the country or matrix exists.
So mostly the idea is now there is a great interest in spiritual book of India when we go for an outside, because we NBT put up at least 15, 16 international book fair. When we put up in a rights table, they are asking, do you have any spiritual books? Not they don't call it. There are no yoga and other things. There are craze in the now the NBT is also trying to come out, because it is showing some interest so that the publisher could take care of that. National Library Mission also taking care of this report, the recommendation and all. They are also deliberating, because they are 60,000 libraries they are going to network. So these are the things. Thank you very much.